Hello friends, hello to you my Mitrandil and Bhatrandil. So I just want to talk about my job hunt for this year 2024, some of the important statistics and insights that I obtained from my job hunt. I want to talk about this because every year I keep on searching for jobs and I don't want to waste my efforts every time I apply for jobs and all the effort that I put into it's also important in finding a job. So let me talk about what I did for my job hunt. Firstly, I actually started noting down all my jobs that I applied for in an Excel sheet. So you can see that I have applied for almost since I started applying on the 12th of April and and May and June. So you can see that over the month of April, May, and even towards the almost mid June. Okay, mid April to mid June. April, May, June. So you can see it took me almost 3 months to apply to almost 691 jobs. Let's say applied for 700 jobs. So you can see that I applied for almost 700 jobs in 3 months. So which means let's say for 1 month you're applying to let's say around 200 jobs, maybe 230 jobs, let's say. But I'm sure you can apply to a lot more jobs. So the main problem in applying for jobs is always the applications that you have to fill up, and it's a very long process. Each and every job has sometimes a lot of applications to fill up, and that application will also include all your basic details, all your job experiences, and all those things you have to fill up, which usually takes around 10 to 15 minutes for a particular job. And some jobs may not need that, they just ask you to send a CV, and those are the best ones. But let's see what I have applied for here. I have applied for half of the jobs I applied for are Indeed. On Indeed, you have to apply for. So most of the jobs are usually asking for a complete application form, like with you have to fill up the application form, also add the resume, also add everything else. But the advantage of LinkedIn is that you have LinkedIn Easy Apply. On Easy Apply, you can just click one button and send your CV, which you already have on LinkedIn. So that I found really nice because LinkedIn is a much better way to apply for jobs. But I found that Indeed is the best. In the past, I found that Indeed is actually the best platform for jobs, because I used to get a lot of replies, and I also get used to get jobs from Indeed. Like my past job, I got it from Indeed. So I always trusted Indeed for it, and I didn't think that LinkedIn was good at all. But then I realized that when you apply in LinkedIn, you have to apply for jobs which do not have the recruitment agencies. So you have to filter out those jobs which say recruiting and staffing. If you filter out those jobs, you can get only the jobs which are posted by the employers. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so let's see what jobs I applied for. I applied for mostly full stack Java engineer, senior software engineer. I applied for Java, Python, C Sharp, .NET, and you can see C++. I also applied for C++. I also applied for PHP positions, and the red ones are the ones which have rejected me. So whenever I got a rejection in my Excel sheet, I would put down as a rejection. And you can see, so the here I've actually marked these areas as dark bold, and these are areas which basically I changed my CV to a newer CV. I used a better formatting, and I saw that I was actually getting more replies when I improved the formatting of my CV, although the information was the same. I just also My Perfect CV, that's the name of the website. So My Perfect CV actually gave me some good ideas on changing the form, changing sentences to very attractive sentences. So it used the uh, AI kind of AI software to actually detect what I could improve in my CV. So it removed any uh, things like a or the in the CV. So to make it more impactful, to make the sentences more impactful, and it also improved some stuff like it would rephrase sentences so that it would look really amazing. So my perfect CV has this feature, so that I found it really amazing. Like it made any sentence sound like really good. For so that's what I found really nice about that my perfect CV. So apart from that, let me now go back to as you can see, I've applied for so many jobs, and I also put down rejections as red, and whenever I got an interview call, I would put down as I would mark it as green, and yeah, I would also put yeah, I would also have a lot of Zoom calls on my calendar, and yeah, so all these interviews I've had. So now let's look at what I actually have for my interviews. So let's see. Okay, I'll show you my slideshow. This is my job hunt, statistics and insights. So total number of jobs applied is 691, and number of jobs which have rejected me is immediately they have rejected me, or maybe later. I noted down when they rejected me, and I counted those, and that 33% of the jobs have rejected me. Number of jobs which never replied was 491. So these are the rubbish jobs. Usually these are mostly probably fake companies or recruitment agencies where the recruiters are completely lazy and they don't give a shit, or they don't or maybe the companies just don't like your CV. But a very good company would usually send you back a reply. In general, most companies would a good company would usually reply. For example, I applied to Facebook, or applied to JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, I applied to Moody's Corporation, some of the big companies like IBM, Barclays. All these companies will send you a reply. So yeah, so basically my job, all the 700 jobs, it includes all the big companies, including I applied for Google, DeepMind, I applied for all the big companies. Yeah, just name it and it will all be there in that list. So out of 700 jobs, only 20 I got invited for an interview. That is on a Zoom call, and let's say, yeah, maybe only about 10% of those got through, and I got 2 job offers from that. And there were 6 jobs which asked for interview, but they did not even reply to that. They asked for an availability, and they did not even reply. So these are like the douchebags, some of the worst people you can see. They are either playing with you, or they are being smartasses or something like that. So they ask you, oh, when are you available for interview, and they never even reply after that when you reply to them. Finally, the number of job offers I got was only 2 out of 700, and I got them after 3 months, obviously. So 10% of the jobs, so basically that's 10% of the interviews have got successful job offers, and only 0.3% of the applied jobs you'll get a job. So out of 700, only 0.3% you'll get jobs. So now let's see which job sites I applied to the most. I applied to Indeed, because that's what I used to trust a long time, for a long time. And LinkedIn applied to around 303 jobs. Okay, and Indeed I applied to 54% of the jobs were from Indeed, 44% of the jobs were from LinkedIn. And I realized that towards the later part of my job hunt, I was mostly applying on LinkedIn. because LinkedIn you can just apply for jobs with a click of a button. So I was randomly just picking up jobs from LinkedIn and just clicking on the button. That's it. I didn't even look at the company information, anything like that. If it matches my job title, that's it. I would apply for it. And I also tried two more job sites called CV Library and ZipRecruiter. These are probably more popular in the UK, and these are very rubbish job sites. First of all, ZipRecruiter actually, 8 of the jobs that I applied to, they're all actually linking to LinkedIn. So they all actually redirected me to LinkedIn. So this company is a basically a rubbish company, I think. You should not be doing that. You should be posting your own jobs, not posting LinkedIn jobs. And CV Library was also a rubbish company because it had a lot of recruitment agency. Most of them, almost 99% or 100% of the jobs were from recruitment agencies. So my basic policy is I do not apply to recruitment agencies because the recruiting agencies are filled with recruiters who can traumatize you. They can make you they can destroy your morale. They can make you feel bad, and they most of the time 99% of the recruiters from recruitment agencies, they bully you on the phone. They ask you all the information about your jobs. They ask you all the information about your salaries, and they try to squeeze out all the information from you so that they can post that job vacancy, that as a job vacancy. Like, let's say you are leaving your job and you call a recruiter. That recruiting agency is now aware that you are leaving this job, so now they are going to post that job as a new job position for their company. So they're trying to get to know people where there are vacancies. So you are becoming a scapegoat in that. You are becoming a free informer for them, for their jobs. So you are giving them the lead for their job, you know, for them to make commission out of their job, of maybe new job applicants. So I don't know how their commission system works, but I avoid recruiters at all costs. I learned this after almost having 2 or 3 days of full recruiters calling me and asking me personal questions and even harassing me and talking shit about me, and then finally you realize that after a call with a recruiter, like from a recruiting agency, after they have squeezed out all the information from you, they even give you a very nasty message at the end saying something like, oh, if we have any job vacancies, we'll get in touch, okay, bye. And they'll slam the phone on your face like you are some kind of used piece of shit. So most of the recruiters, they need to be they need to be in prison, I would say. They are not good people. So all these recruitment agencies are full of bullies, and probably they have been in crimes. I would suspect that they are all criminals in some way. So finally, my conclusions. LinkedIn, I would say, is now equally as good as Indeed for job search in the UK. And LinkedIn has easy apply option where you can send a CV with one click. And I would suggest, for interviews, you learn from the mistakes and get better through failures. So make sure you have plenty of interviews lined up. So what you should do is apply for as many jobs as possible, line up as many interviews as possible, because interviews are the main point where your actual job hunts begins. Without an interview call, you are basically nowhere in your job hunt. Set up many interviews, and that creates a momentum in your interviewing skills. So set up as many interviews as possible, and then when you start failing through those interviews, then you start getting better. And unless you do this, you will forget about this the next time you hunt for a job. I know the next time probably I'll hunt for a job would be let's say if I have to look for another job maybe in 1 year or 2 years, but you need to know that this you have to set up this momentum of job interviews. Only when you set up these job interviews, like when you get the momentum, then you can have like 1 out of 10 successful job offers. So that's my conclusion for this. Get as many interviews lined up as possible. And so that's something. So other interesting things about my job hunt I can tell you is that at some points I also applied for almost 20 to 30 jobs in the US. Like I was applying from the UK to for US jobs, and I can tell you almost all of them sent me a rejection reply. So if I search for United States, let's say, okay, let's see here. See, I can show you senior software engineer United States. I applied for so many of them. So here it starts. Let's say I applied to USA, Seattle. Um, so you can see I applied from starting from 206 to 220, 28 maybe. Yeah, around probably around 20 to 25 jobs I applied in the USA. And these jobs, they immediately sent me a reply. So you can see all of them are in red. So it's almost impossible to apply for US jobs based in the UK from LinkedIn, and they all send you rejection letters immediately. And I think the US job market is much more competitive, and they probably have a lot more applications going to software engineers, so they also have a high level of rejections. So that's something I got from it. And I also made some other, yeah, so these are my Indeed jobs, just my Indeed jobs, just my LinkedIn jobs. That this is something I made today, which is I just copied the information just for this creating these statistics. These are the interviews I had. So some of the interviews like C sharp, these are very, so these interviews are pretty much a waste of time because I'm not a full-time C sharp developer, but I've worked on C sharp for a while. And then I also had this interview where I was applied for a Canadian job where they had this visa sponsorship offer, and some company in Birmingham was actually asked me to do this interview for as a Java developer for a Canadian company which was actually recruiting people from the UK for Canadian jobs. So it's called as Venuity, that's a recruitment agency. So this is an interesting. So I recorded an interview online from some interviewing company, and they actually gave me a rejection letter immediately on the same day. So my interview skills are not that fantastic. So probably that's also another reason. Then there were most of the interview calls were just simple first discovery calls. See, for example, I had one round of interview with Cambridge Zedify, which was on Zoom call. They probably were not very interested in me, but they still went through that interview. I don't know why they. So this interviewer was actually Bentley Systems. They gave me a coding assessment. I did that in JavaScript, and I thought I was doing well in that, but they also, I think it was not so fantastic, that code assessment. Although I made it work, the final analysis showed that my coding, there were some missing tests or something like odd edge cases. For example, the edge cases were not covered, so my score went down to like 45% or something. So because of the edge cases not being passed, but the main tests had all passed. So the coding test I had passed, but the edge cases were not passed. So that's the reason I probably didn't make it. And they didn't even reply to it. And so the ones marked in yellow are the ones who said, "When are you available?" And this is a recruiter. So they asked me, "When are you available?" and they never replied back. So this C sharp was a simple phone call, by some Indian lady who called me and asked me about my experiences, and then after a couple of hours, after a couple of days, she sent me a rejection letter. And then there was another one who did a Zoom call called Test Global. They are an education software company, and that guy even did not even reply to, yeah. So yeah, so with that, and also I had a Cognizant interview, which was a front end interview, and the guy was a complete asshole. He just didn't really. Yeah, he was asking some front end interview questions, which was not very great. So yeah, I had some bad experiences with interviews. Most of them were really bad experiences. Some of them were good experiences, for which I got the jobs. So yeah, and some of them, for example, this Daedalus was just a recruiter who was just trying to talk to me, and she didn't really pass me through the second round. Then Sekira, this another biotech company which also had the first round recruiter interview. The recruiter did not allow me to get into the second round. And then this was Hyde Group. Hyde Group had one round of Zoom call interview, and they had a lot of technical questions, and then they asked me whether I had any experience in AWS, and they just didn't like my AWS experience. They said no. I mean, yeah, I learned some AWS, yeah, but maybe they needed very deep level of AWS experience, and that's something I need to build upon. And Cognizant, obviously, I said it's not good, and yeah, the workshop is the one for which I got, and Persistent Systems is an Indian company based in Pune, which has branches in London and also all over the world. So this interview was pretty high class. The lady actually asked me a lot of Java questions, very technical questions, and some of the questions I could not answer. So maybe she also asked me some coding test. For example, she asked me to write down the algorithm for binary search, which I could not. And also she asked me to, so instead as an alternative, she asked me to do the to find to do the coding, to write the code to find duplicate characters in a string in Java, and that I was able to do successfully. But she said there was something wrong with my code, which was not true. She wanted to fail me for sure, and she had an attitude, and so she wanted to fail me, so obviously she failed me after that. So you can see from the people's questions that they want, if they want you to fail, then they will make you fail. That's simple as that. But the recruiter will sometimes want you to win, even if you are failing, they still want you to win. And in those cases, you know that they actually want someone for the job, and they will not care what happens. Even if you tell the wrong replies, they will still take you for the job. And this is basically my 20 final interviews that I had. And so this was a phone call as well. Test Global was a phone call, was a Zoom call in which the guy did not even show his face. Most of them usually don't even show their faces. They are all behind a black screen. Rekiva was a phone call by a recruiter, and that was a useless phone call. Yeah, you can see most of them are like phone calls, which I call as interviews, which are not really interviews. They are just random phone calls. Sometimes they are recruiters. And Holland and Barrett was a full-on interview after a first round phone call by the recruiter. So this interview actually was a failure, although they asked me some very good questions about Java. So this interview helped me to actually focus on what I should be focusing on, like the deep technical questions. And although Holland and Barrett always makes these interviews for me, even last time I had an interview with them, they don't ever give the job, but it kind of preps me up for the next round, for the next interview. So I have to thank these people for failing me or even setting up an interview to keep your hopes open. So Ticket Tailor is actually a PHP company. So they are basically a API based on PHP, and they have some front-end frameworks like Laravel, and I think some other frameworks which I don't even know much about. And the work visa, Canadian work visa, was a failure. I did the interview, as you know, I recorded an interview. And Dental IT, these people also asked me for availability, but I should mark it as yellow because these are also like flaky people who asked me for interview and then I said no. Then they did not even reply. It's a dental company based in Sheffield. And Hyde Group, they wanted someone with deep AWS knowledge. My AWS knowledge is superficial and I can work on it, but don't ask me if I worked on it for like 5 years or something. No. And then you have the Oxford job, which I got it obviously. Then the persistent systems, which are failed. And this one I have not even actually replied. They have replied to me. So basically this makes my final count to 19. So this is also something I could not find their actual link. So I got this one. I got this job. And CLS Group is another interesting company, which is a company which is basically doing Forex platforms. So that's their main specialty. So they do Forex platforms. And Capsa AI is a equity based company. And Daedalus is a biotech company, and Sequoia is another biotech company which needs software. Senior Java software engineer, CLS Group. Okay. And so CLS Group is the Forex company which I would love to join. It seemed really like a Forex trading platform which would be very interesting, but they only had a first round interview, and maybe he sensed that I was really keen on it, and I have not done a lot of research on it, so maybe that's because I had so many interviews lined up that I did not have enough time to prepare to learn more about this company. I actually learned from Wikipedia about this company. This company is like so huge. It's like a leading Forex platform actually. So sometimes you have to research about companies for a long time and learn more about them so that you don't ask stupid questions in the interview. So with that, finally I will end my talk, and that's it from me.